È stata responsabile del settore vendite e marketing online per l'azienda Vodafone, manager esperto in ambito di consumer e business marketing. Dorian Richel è una leader che guida i successi del suo team in tutta la zona chiave del marketing online. Global Marketing Solution Director per Facebook, Dorian Richel.
Oh. Mi scusi, I only speak English, so I hope you can follow me. So, one of the best things of my job, and actually the best days of my job, are the days that I get to work with people from the industry, from the travel industry. People like yourselves that work as a travel leader in the industry, that own a travel company. And those days are great, because ultimately, Facebook can only be as good as it is, can only grow when we are near to you, when we understand your needs, and when we understand where you're going, so where the travel industry is going. So, with the words of Steve Jobs, it starts with the customer experience. So, when we understand your needs really well, and we understand your customers' needs really well, this is where we can actually really help you. And as a technology company, it's really important for us to stay close to the customer experience. So the customer experience, as I understand from you in travel, is actually quite a hard experience sometimes. Travel is not just the best industry to work in, because I think no industry understands customer experience like you do. But it's also sometimes a tough industry, with online coming 15 years ago in our industry. Because people use online in every step that they take in travel. And planning and booking for travel can be quite tough. Sometimes people say that retail is about detail, but I don't agree. Retail, buying a book or buying a dress, is so much more easy than booking a travel. So a colleague of mine actually illustrated this, how detailed travel, by just this one example. Let's say I want to book a travel from San Francisco to New York. How many things that I have to consider just by booking 3 things? An air, a flight, a hotel, and a car. I don't know if you have any idea about how many choices someone needs to make, but it's massive. It was staggering. So I'll talk you through that. So first of all, book a flight from San Francisco to New York. There are 284 non-stop flights from San Francisco to New York, and that's non-stop, direct flights. Let's say I want to consider the indirect flights. The choices go up. There's 87 other flights. So already I am faced with 371 choices as a travel customer. Okay, I booked my flight, and I want to choose, oh no, I didn't even book my flight. I have to choose which class I want to be. So I can choose business, I can choose economy, I can choose the really first class. So that adds another many choices. So let's say I booked that flight. Then I need to find a hotel, which is very much your business. There are so many properties on Manhattan only, that's not even wider New York. My choices just went up to 641,000. And if I go wider, it's almost 900,000 choices I need to make. And then again, I can choose different types of hotel classes. I can go from a suite to a resort, anything in between. So bang, it's almost 7 million choices. Add to that car rental, because that's what you would do in the US, right? You rent a car. So there are 9 car rental companies only I can choose from. And then again, there are 13 different car models. So here I am as a travel customer. I have 800 million choices to make just with that. And I didn't even decide on what tour I need to book. I didn't even decide what restaurants I want to make a reservation. So this is how detailed travel is. So today I want to talk about that customer experience, the experience that you care a lot about, but also we care a lot about. And I want to discuss 3 different topics. Start with the customer first, of course, and look at the changing customer behavior. Then I want to talk a little bit about a research piece that just came out from GfK and that Facebook commissioned, and is about the choices people need to make in their path to purchase and how mobile plays a role in that. And I just want to highlight 2 things on how Facebook can help with that. But start with the customer first, the changing customer behavior. So when I started to travel around, I just finished high school, and for me that was a lot about online coming up for the first time. So online bookings just started. But now we see that it's not just the desktop, it's actually much more. Mobile has become a major part of how people experience travel. This is no news to you, right? People own multiple devices. You probably all have 2, 3, maybe 4 different devices you use. A fixed PC, a notebook, a tablet, and a mobile phone. These are numbers from Western Europe, and I think they are very relevant for the Italian market, because obviously these are your customers coming to Italy. So mobile device ownership is the new normal. And it's not a technology or not a channel. At Facebook, we actually consider mobile a behavior. If you look at how people behave on mobile, it's amazing. Out of our full day of being awake, we only leave our mobile away for around 2 hours. That's where you probably are in the shower, maybe go sporting, but just 2 hours and our mobile device is not with us. And out of this same research, which was done by IDC, another really interesting fact came out, and I don't know if you relate to that, but I sure do. 80% of the people that wake up in the morning, they check their mobile within the first 15 minutes. The first 15 minutes, that's the first thing we do. So I always say that my mobile phone is my most personal device. Just to show how that feels, just do a little test. Just take out your mobile, open it up, and give it to your neighbor. That feels strange, does it? That's not okay. It's sort of giving away your toothbrush or something like that. This is so, to me, I don't want to give that away. So mobile is much more becoming a behavior rather than a technology or a channel. And at Facebook, we, as a mobile company, we really feel that. So mobile for us is actually the biggest thing at the moment. And if you see that people spend 40 minutes a day on average, this is worldwide, on their mobile phone, on Facebook and Instagram, which is 1 out of every 5 minutes that people spend on mobile in general. That is how big a part Facebook and Instagram have become in people's lives. It's an amazing amount of numbers, but just to bring you back to like 11 years ago, just 11 years ago, this is how Facebook looked when we just started. This is one of the very first desktop versions. And Facebook was a very desktop-focused company. And when I started at Facebook around 4 years ago, I came from Vodafone, like Giancarlo just mentioned. I was amazed to learn that out of the 2,000 people that work at Facebook, only 16 people worked on our mobile product. Out of the 2,000, this small group. I couldn't imagine, like, how do we not see that? And luckily, there were more people that saw that, Mark to be the first. And he decided to change that, and he changed us to become a mobile-first company. So everything that we do, every design we make, every little piece of code that our engineers are writing, it's mobile first. And that leads to these numbers that you know now from these days. These are very humbling numbers. But this is what a mobile-first company, what mobile brought us basically to when we became a mobile-first company. And it's not just Facebook, the blue app, it's WhatsApp, it's Instagram, it's all the things we do. So changing that, that's not magic. That is actually something you do every day in your lives. Even when we're growing so big, we still deeply care most about our customer experience. It's about the care that we put in our customers' experience, the care to understand what their needs really, really are. That means that we measure every day how people feel about Facebook, how engaged they are in using it, and we measure that quantitatively and qualitatively. It also means that every change that we are making, we test it just a little bit to see how people react before launching it. And I have a nice example on how the customer experience on Facebook changed through the years, mainly also because the behavior of people changed. And that's this one. So remember that in the beginning, when people used Facebook, it was a lot about text, right? We just send a text message as our post, as our status update. And then it quickly changed into people using pictures, and they just got visual experience, which is much more interesting. It hits your brain much faster. It creates much more emotion. So that leads to the 2 billion pictures uploaded a day that you just saw. So people use a lot of pictures. And then last year, we went through a big change again when people discovered video on Facebook. So I think we went from 1 billion video views a day, to 8 billion video views a day now. You can imagine that that's a lot of effort to get that done. What that means for our data centers, for the experience of people. People love it. They really want to do this. So this is where we are now, but this is where we're going. And that's what we call spherical videos or 360 videos. This is much more in the area of augmented reality. And it looks like that on the phone. It's happening now already, but just very small. So this is a video that is taken with 24 cameras. And so you have all the different angles. And what you can do on your phone, just by your hands, you can go left or right or up and down. And you can actually see one of your beautiful Italian villages and see all the different angles of that. That's an amazing experience for people that maybe want to book somewhere or getting inspired by it and decide where to go on holiday. So these type of customer behavior, what people like, is amazing for storytelling, right, and for inspiration. We not just care a lot about the people that use Facebook, but obviously also about the companies that use Facebook. So we partner with companies like yourselves to see how they can use those opportunities best. So one of the companies I work closely with is KLM, the Royal Dutch Airline.
Leuk. Persoonlijk vind ik hem gewoon een aanwinst voor het bedrijf.
KLM
en hij kan ook echt iets wat niemand anders kan.
Really religious about building a brand.
Ons doel is om gevonden voorwerpen zo snel mogelijk terug te
we
brengen
can put
naar
the audio
de
off, is that possible?
We houden daarvoor een social media in de gaten en de crew die na elke vlucht het vliegtuig checkt.
Because otherwise we get a bit
disturbed, I think.
Ik vind het ook wel heel erg
leuk dat we natuurlijk een beetje hulp
KLM
daarbij krijgen.
is religious about building their brand. And it makes sense, right? Because that is small Dutch airline, and they feel competition from the low-cost carriers on one hand, but also the very luxury airlines on the other hand. And they need to build their business as well and grow and make a profit. And for them, it's also a challenge to do that internationally, because as you can imagine, the Dutch market is a really small market. So their biggest business is international, to reach people that want to fly with them from all over the world. It's tough for them to find out how to do that in every different market, to understand what the local media channels are, the way they work. So Facebook for them is an opportunity to do that very efficiently. So we partner with them for a long time, and the last year we built a lot of video learnings together with them. They did around 20 video campaigns on Facebook. This is one of the most adorable ones with a little dog that represents a service for them. But they did 20 video campaigns, and gradually they learned and got better and better, leading to a very efficient 1 cent cost per video view. But not just the video view, but also they measure it like real results, because you want to get sales out of that as well. You want to get people that book your flights or your hotel rooms or your car rental. They measure it that way as well. So also they measure it against the conversion, the actual sales that happens. And I'll explain later how they do that. The reason why these videos work so well on Facebook is basically that. Because Facebook is mobile. And mobile demands your attention. It really gets you into that little screen. And it's true, it's just that little advertisement. So Facebook got challenged by companies who are in the traditional fast mover industry. The companies like Unilever, Procter & Gamble, Perfetti, companies that are traditional big TV buyers and that really know how to build brands on big screens. And they were asking, like, is that really true that this small mobile screen can have the same impact, can have the same emotional change as the big screen? Which is a good question. It's a very fair question. So we decided to research that, and we're not a research company. So we asked a company that is called SalesBrain to help us with that. And now it gets a bit scientific and futuric, because SalesBrain is a company that does neuromarketing. So they literally hook people up on their brains and test how their brains are working when they see things. And they tested campaigns on television and exact the same campaign on the little mobile screen and see if that made a difference. And there were very interesting results coming out of that. And it turns out that that little small screen is not so small. And here's why. So a TV indeed is big, it's beautiful, it's very dramatic, but also a television is surrounded by distractions. There's a lot of things going on around you. And that's why mobile has a different thing. When you look at your mobile, it's almost like you're blinded. You don't see anything around you, it's just that thing that you see. So when they looked at the brains of people and how that processed information, they saw a few interesting things. One, television indeed, there's a lot of distractions, and people's brains actually had difficulty in processing all the information on television because of the distraction. So the brains literally needed to work harder to get the same information in. Versus mobile, where people tend to be more attentive, so the brains were much more attentive, but also much more positive on the way that they got the information. So the positive side, it's maybe due to the personal part, we don't know yet, but we were more positive and more attentive. And the result was that both television and mobile had an equal impact on how people's emotions and attitude changed with a message. So this is the first result for our first research. There's more probably research coming up, but it's interesting to share that with you, I thought. So back to KLM's case with the videos and the inspiration and the storytelling. I already mentioned it's not just the storytelling. They also looked at the sales numbers. And they rightfully do so, because this is what we see happening in Europe at the moment. We see that mobile is not just for inspiration and storytelling, it's also already getting bookings in. And maybe in Italy you see that the numbers are still on the lower side compared, for instance, to the UK. But if you look at where your customers come from, many come from those markets. So it's interesting to see the trend and where it's going. Facebook also changes the things that you can do on the Facebook platform because of these changes. So if I can bring you back, let's say 4 or 5 years ago, Facebook was mainly a place where PR and corporate communications used it for social listening. and to influence and to talk with people, to have conversations. The KPIs, the way we measure that, were mostly fans, engagement, how responsive we were. But over the years, the platform has changed because we worked with companies like yourselves, companies that reached out to us and say, I want to use that to build my brand. So we entered in a space which is much more a brand marketing tool. And then you see it's much more the brand managers that use Facebook. And there's much more brand campaigns like the KLM example. And since 2 years, we're also entering a space which is much more about performance marketing, traditional online marketing. We're still learning a lot, but we're introducing a lot of new features there. So we moved the way you moved, listening to you, partnering to you, and to see how we can bring value to you. So this leads to the second thing I want to talk to you about. To bring value to you, we need to understand how your customers experience you, what your customers' needs are. And this is why we commissioned a research to GfK in the Nordics and in the Netherlands to understand how customers book short trips. So trips from 2 to 4 days to cities, beaches, outdoor, short trip bookings, and to see how their path to purchase, how their behavior and their needs are. And the reason why we do that is because those are the type of bookings that are growing in Europe. In almost every market, this is the type of trips that people do more and more. So if we understand that behavior, it's directly related to your business. There's a lot of interesting things coming out of that, but I chose a few things to share with you. So first of all, one of the things that you probably know is that travel is one of the biggest categories on Facebook. It's in fact the biggest category. 42% of the people that use Facebook regularly share something of their travel on Facebook. So travel is in our DNA, right? We see it every day. People see where their friends are on holiday. So it's also very natural for us to understand the behavior. And this is the research, I'll skip to that. So the good thing about that is just that what came out of the research is not just that people share that a lot, but people are also very open to get inspired by advertisers on it. So that means that the people who use Facebook, but also use other channels, just when they are thinking about booking a short trip, they are open to get advertised. They're open for your inspiration, so you can influence them. 76% of people, it's like big majority, tells us that. The second good thing is that they don't know yet where they're going. So you can not only, they're open to it, but also they are still floating, they're undecided. So they don't know where they're going, they don't know who to book with. And the third thing that came out of that is that they don't necessarily think that they should book with the same provider where they booked last time. So they're not loyal, which is maybe not good if you're a very big market share and you depend on the loyalty. But if you want to grow your business, this is where you can get people and convince people to book with you. So bringing that back to mobile, we also wanted to understand how then people book that. Where do they use mobile for? Where do they use desktop for? And to no surprise, people still book on desktop. 75% of the people still use this desktop to book it. But almost 70% of people researches on mobile. So they're not just getting inspired, they're actually researching there as well. That is massive. So mobile is taking its place in the travel planning and in the travel booking already. So with all these people open for advertisement and open for inspiration, being undecided where to go for a short trip, and open for a new provider, and researching on mobile, you would expect that there would be a lot of mobile advertisement going on. Well, that's not the case. From a media perspective, there's not a lot of mobile advertisement yet. This is Italian numbers, not just for the travel industry, this is for all the industries. But for me working with travel companies, I noticed the same. I noticed exactly the same pattern. Out of the total media budget, only a small portion is on mobile. So when I ask the question, why is that? They tell me, well, Dorian, we have difficulties with putting mobile in our media budget for 2 reasons. One is I don't know how to reach the right people on mobile. And if I can reach them, I want to reach them when I have inspiration or research, but not just for the booking. So any help would be good. The second thing is I don't know how to measure mobile, because bottom line, it is about measurement. It is about measuring the results, right? In online, we are so addicted to being able to measure everything. We also want to measure mobile. So here's the thing where Facebook can help a bit. It's not magic. It's what we call real people marketing. And I'll explain that a bit. There's many things that we can talk about on that one. And there's 2 colleagues of mine, Francesca and Andrea, and they both have breakouts during this conference. They're going to talk much more on how to do that. But I'll just stay to those 2 things, so I hope that I can help you a bit in your thoughts around that. So one is, we can help you serving the right ad to the right person in the right channel, the right time, so in the right moment of purchase. And the other thing that we can help you with is measuring the impact. So let's look at the first one. The reason why we can help you with that is actually quite simple. People on Facebook are real people. There's no use for me not being Dorianne Richelle on Facebook. I myself, I live in Haarlem in the Netherlands. I got 2 children, work at Facebook. I have my interest there, the sports I like, the musicians I like, the travel I like, everything which is about me. So all that real people information we use to find the right people, and to help you find the right people. For those who are not familiar with advertising on Facebook, just a quick course on that. This is the type of information that you can actually use for targeting. You can never find me personally on Facebook, by the way. It's always anonymous in groups, but you will find a woman between 25 and 45 with children living in the Netherlands, liking to travel a lot and being a business traveler. That's what you can find. An airline can find me as their frequent flyer because they can combine their email database with Facebook's email database. And don't worry, we will never get the email addresses, nor will that airline get our information. It's in a secure way done. But this is the way that we can actually help you find the real people, whether that is demographic or geographic, it's on interest, it's on my travel behavior, or it's from your own CRM database. That looks a bit like that. This is an examples of what you could do. You could find people who love Italian soccer, or Dutch people who love Italian food, or people who like beach holidays. Those are the things that you can find. So that helps. And it's in a very simple tool, so very easy. So to help you with the fact that people get inspired and research on mobile but book on desktop, we added another tool some time ago. And we call that the reach and frequency tool. And this is where you could schedule the amount of people you want to reach, and how often you want to reach them, but also in what sequence. So for instance, you could say, I want to reach people first on mobile, and then I want to remarket them on desktop. And I have an example with me on how that looks like. This is Kate Spade. It's a US clothing brand. And first, the people got to see a video with an American actress, and she goes on a weekend to Los Angeles. And she wears Kate Spade clothes and shoes and a bag, and there's a story in the video. So after people have seen that video, then people got served a second advertisement, which is the one on that mobile, which is turning now. And actually everything that the actress was wearing, her dress, her shoes, her bag, you could click on and you could buy. And you could do that on mobile, but you could also choose to have the last one on desktop.
You think, Uriel, we can have 10 minutes for Q&A?
I can wrap up fast. So the last thing is measure the impact on mobile. Because of that identity, it's also possible to follow the people and measure that. Because cookies don't work on mobile, right? I have multiple cookies, you will never be finding me. It's the identity that helps that. So there's another, well, let's click to that in times of speed. It's identity that helps finding me seeing an advertising on mobile, not clicking on it, just seeing it, going then to desktop to book it. There's a tool, it's called cross-device reporting, and you could follow me seeing an ad on an iPhone, but actually buying it on desktop. You don't need to click on the ad, it's seeing the ads, which is much more happening. People don't click all the ways, they just look at it, they get inspired, they go to desktop, or they go to another place. So 2 tools that could help you finding your way through mobile and desktop and help you with your targeting and help you with your measuring. So the last thing I just want you to think about is this. We talked a lot about the now and how mobile can play a part and how you can use that opportunity. But I want you to think about what's next. And that's the mobile bookings. Maybe they're small now, but they're rapidly growing. And we've seen in markets in Asia how fast that goes. In China only, there's more mobile bookings than there are desktop bookings. And that represents a massive market. So get ready for that. Make sure that you make your mobile booking experience really, really easy. The companies that are successful with that are the companies that change the industry now. Think Uber. 6 years ago, there was no Uber. Now it's the biggest taxi company in the world. So they're focused only on mobile, make it easy, and this is how it's changing. So I hope I got to inspire you a little bit, and I think Martin is going to ask me some questions.
I'm calling immediately Martin Cowen from Tnooz. Sorry for the short presentation, but we are in a shortage of time. We have 8 minutes for questions.
Okay. Well, in the 8 minutes, I'll just go straight in. It was a very good example of KLM. I mean, that's widely seen as a very good example of best practice in using social media for marketing, sales, business, bookings. I mean, have you got any specific examples around the hotel sector or destinations that you can share?
Yeah, sure. So first of all, maybe good to know, if you go to facebook.com/business as an URL, there are heaps of case studies and stories that you can look into. So there's many things, and you could just look at travel or finance, and find what is interesting for you. So there's also a lot of examples which come to the hospitality business. One that calls to mind is a UK platform. It's called Hostel World. It's a platform for people to book hostels across, I think it's even further than the UK. And what for them is really important was to get people who actually looked at their platform but did not book, to find those people again with remarketing and get them to book again. It's just that to do that manually every time, it's a lot of work. But they really wanted to find them on Facebook because these are people that are very mobile, they're traveling around and they book on mobile often for the next day. So they use a product which is called dynamic product ads. It's an automated way of remarketing on Facebook. And out of that way and how they implemented that, they saw, I think, a 2.5 point return on advertising spend. And they saw, I think, a 3x higher bookings than they saw before. So it's a very successful case on how you use technology, but really tapping into what the customer experience is, because it's travel booking or hostel booking when you're traveling.
Okay, I mean, there's quite a lot of those slides were very interesting. One that I liked was the progression of Facebook from a branding platform to an actual booking platform. But how do you see Facebook evolving beyond that? You've got lots of products beyond the social network side, Oculus Rift, WhatsApp, you know, Facebook Concierge, Product M. I mean, how do you see Facebook evolving over the next 5 to 10 years, and how can that relate to a hotel and destination-based audience?
So I think the first things that we see happening are products like Messenger and WhatsApp getting used much more for service. And Messenger is now becoming a platform. So what you'll see is that all sorts of companies will use Messenger and plug in their API to bring additional services on that platform. So one of the things, while talking about KLM, what you will get is that when you've booked your flight with KLM, you will get your confirmation through Messenger, you will get your alert when the flight time has changed through Messenger, you can get your boarding pass through Messenger, so those type of things on a platform side. Thinking much further away, and you talk about Oculus Rift and those type of changes, that is still very exciting and we're still discovering. Probably the first industries that will take up the opportunity of virtual reality will be in gaming, but I think travel could be a really good second because there's a lot of experience in travel. You saw the 360 videos, that could be a very interesting next one.
Okay. Short of time, there's one slide that sort of leapt out at me, which was the 78% of people, give or take, weren't particularly loyal. Can you turn that on your head and maybe think of ways in which Facebook could engender loyalty? If there is 4 out of 5 people aren't that loyal, can Facebook be used to engender a loyalty among the people, among travelers?
Yeah, so first of all, the 78% were the people that we researched, right? People that were booking short trips. So just put that to frame that. And we also asked them what influences their loyalty, and that was very much their booking experience. If they have, for instance, an app installed, which is a really easy booking, then they tend to go more often to the same provider. So that's something you would say outside of Facebook, but where Facebook could help with is, for instance, getting that app installed, using a type of advertisement which is mobile app installs, which makes it really easy to find the people that you want to reach and to install that app, but also to reinforce again, when you know it's the holiday booking season coming up, that you get people to go back to the mobile app and book again. So that's one of the things that we help advertisers with.
Okay, and in terms of the advertising model, I mean, how can a small destination or a small hotel compete on the Facebook platform with Dubai, for example, that's probably got a bigger marketing budget than Sicily? I mean, is there ways in which the smaller niche destinations and hotels can get a presence on the platform in light of the massive budgets that other destinations might have?
So I believe that ultimately it is not about bigger or smaller budgets, it's actually being really efficient and impactful with what you do. So we've seen successes of really small companies being so smart, finding the exact right audience that fits them, and doing that with a really authentic message, and smartening out really big companies that maybe are not that lean or struggle with how to do that sometimes. So I don't think it's a question of big or small. I think it's a question of being smart in targeting, in timing, having really good creative. Those combinations, I think, will help everybody.
Okay, and would you think this is best done internally or through an agency? I mean,
that very much depends. There's no one answer to that. What we do see is, as soon as companies that want to really be smart in performance marketing, I often advise to go to work with an agency because it's very complex to get that skill and expertise in it. But on the other hand, I also think that smaller companies know best how to tell their brand story because you know your customers so well. So when it comes to creative, Maybe then you know better. There's no one answer to that.
The last 50 seconds, I have a question from Diane, from the expert table.
Yes, hi. I wanted to ask you, I mean, you said a lot of very interesting things, thank you, and we will look also into the next sessions. But if, from a B2B perspective, I wanted to target through Facebook a segment, like you said, for example, business travelers, how do you do that? I didn't get it, sorry.
Okay, so actually, you remember the tool I showed you, which was really simple? Business travelers is actually a section. You can actually just click it, and then you can target business travelers. That will be one way to do it. We do that based on behavior of people that we know that's a good indication that that's a business traveler. The second thing is what you could do is you could upload your own CRM base of business travelers and then find people that look like them on Facebook. So you find lookalikes. That's another way to do that. Those are the two most easy ways.
Thank you very much, Dorian Richel, for Facebook.